It is the owner and general manager of your Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning, and it's great to see this motley crew upgraded by having Derek on this show this morning. And I'm glad to be rubbing shoulders with you over the air here, Derek.
I appreciate that. Wow, I didn't think you'd know who I was. I appreciate that. You just made my day.
I do. I'm telling you right now, that game, first of all, you need to hear me say baseball is my favorite sport. And I played it. I loved it. I played it every chance I could ever play it, and at every level, and just loved it. Football to me was I had to call on myself to play football.
Man, can we play catch sometime?
I had hit a few grounders.
That'll work. It's perfect.
Well, Jerry, you've just made Derek Holland's day, week, month, year. He might tear up a little bit, so
was amazing.
Very well done to start. Now,
Derek, I've got one more story. When I was about 14, my father, with the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, a guy named Ed Litzenberger, took me in the dressing room of the Chicago Cubs. And they took me over, and they had a great shortstop playing from Dallas. His name was Ernie Banks, and boy, was he a great one. And he signed a baseball for me. Well, after I'd bought the Cowboys, about 10 years into it, I had a guy walk up to me one night here in Dallas after a speech and said, "Mr. Jones, I'm Ernie Banks. I just wanted to meet you." And I said, "Well, Ernie, what a pleasure." I said, "We've met." And he said, "Oh, no, we haven't." I said, "Yes, we have. We met. You signed a baseball for me when I was 15. It has never even been on a carpet. It's never been off my shelf. I still have it where I dress today. Ernie Banks, Chicago Cubs."
Man, that's incredible. I love that. I love stories like that.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of, I'm hoping you can help us out here. How much do we need to be worried about the illness of Trayvon Diggs and Michael Gallup, and can we get this stupid flu to just go away already?
Well, of course, I'll probably choke from coughing on the next sentence I give today. I apologize for this voice, and I will cut it off this time if I start coughing. I did it the other day, but I'm not concerned. I think they'll be ready to go.
Jerry, I'm fascinated at this tight end group that you have, and we've nicknamed them Fergashot. We've combined those two tight ends, but also what Schultz has done, with that group. He even seems to be, as G-Bag was talking yesterday, he seems to be playing tougher because of them. What are your thoughts on what you have in that position right now?
Well, you'll have to get in line behind me, or I'll get in line behind you. Mm-hmm. They are very positive in my eyes, and I think of them, if you will, as a group. You'd appreciate this before the game against, I think it was against Minnesota. Well, Henderson was there in the locker room, and I asked him, I said, "How you feeling today?" I said, "Are you ready to go?" He didn't blink. He looked over and said, "I'm dangerous.
Oh,
turn me loose." And I said, "Well, I'm dangerous too. Let's go."
Yeah.
But they tickle me, and they bring a smile to my face. And, boy, I'll tell you what, watching, of course, Schultz is playing outstanding, every bit to the level that we thought he would. But it's really a pleasure to see these rookies step in here and play at that level. I think Schultz has a lot to do with that. He's got the experience there with them. But it's a great group, and they can catch the ball, they can make plays, and they block doing it. And so it's what you want, and that's impressive to be able to put those three tight end sets out there and operate out of that.
I know you're not actively negotiating these contracts during the season or anything like that, but I've always been curious about how this process works. Do you watch Ferguson and Hendershot in their development, and that helps maybe make it so you can let Schultz walk out the door and save some money on that group?
Do you know that I don't equate when I'm the agreements or the contracts. I go more to a fan mode or go more to a coaching mode I'm watching the players play or practice. That idea about what that's doing to their agreement, I don't get that, and I can get to the money pretty quick, and I don't have to sit around and practice on it all year long. I'm sitting there looking, evaluating, if you will, but really just watching somebody do some good work. All of that kicks in later when you get to thinking about the money.
Well, with that in mind, from a fan perspective, and I know you're probably beaten down by these questions, but from a fan perspective, from a you can get to the money pretty quick perspective, we're not going to let Odell Beckham Jr. leave the facility on Monday without signing up, right?
Well, I wish it were as easy as me saying yes or no, and you say, why isn't it? And we all understand the reality of what you have to go through, but I'm excited. They'll be coming in, will be coming in Monday, and we, in the meantime, we're doing a lot of evaluation, a lot of work, a lot of things regarding physical condition, things like that, information. So all of that's working.
I'm glad Kevin brought this up because we were kind of discussing yesterday the approach and bring him in. It's courtship. I mean, you're courting a player at this point too, in weirdly in the middle of a season. And we were discussing, do you have a goodie bag for him to leave with? Do you have Dak come say hi to him? How does that part go? Does he say hi to the other players while he's around?
Well, when you're as visible as we are, mm-hmm. and you have the track record we have, it's pretty hard to put a smile on and do something in an hour of visiting or over a dinner, or if you will, just a meeting. It's pretty hard to do something that materially impacts your record before you as how you've been. I'm talking about the Cowboys as an organization, the Cowboys as a place for a player to play, or if that matter, does what I say, is it just said for that moment and not followed up on? One of the things that I almost insist, and I do this everywhere, is if I'm talking to somebody for the first time, I'll find people that know me and ask them to call ahead and that know who I'm talking to. Now, this has nothing to do with just football players. And I'll say, would you share with them some stories so that they know who they're talking to when I'm visiting with them. And so that's something that I appreciate because I have it happen to me. I have people call me and say, you're going to be meeting somebody, and they wanted me to call you, or I wanted to call you and tell you this about them. And all of that helps make it work.
Does Jerry Jones have a closing line whenever trying to seal a deal?
Well, I don't have time to have a bad time.
Okay, all right.
It's not on my schedule.
Let's go have a good time right now. Yeah.
What have you thought about the team's run defense over the past two games, and how big of a challenge does Jonathan Taylor present on Sunday night?
Well, he's really challenged. He goes right to the heart of where it should be, and that is the running game. And he's an outstanding player. He's a difference maker, and we got to not only be ready for him, we've got to be ready for what happens if we load up too much and what we give up to load up against him. And they're anticipating that. They'll have it figured out. Won't be a lot of secrets out there when we meet Sunday.
I'm curious about the Colts. They've had a kind of a rough season, and this is one of those games where if they can be a tough team. What do these guys have to do? What does this team have to do to stay focused enough to know we can't let this one be a hiccup for us?
Just to understand that they are a good team. They are a tough team. But more important, the guy in front of you is a tough guy. Mm. And the guy that you've so really these players are focused on their matchups. That's that's the nature of the game. And make no mistake about it, you can go down through their roster, and they really do have some outstanding players. And unfortunately, when you just like the running game, when you get a weak spot in your running game or you get a vulnerable spot, they know how to wear it out, and that's how it happens. You bet. There is. I don't know of anybody that I hadn't rather be playing than them. They're dangerous. Dangerous is not the word for it. They can win the football game.
Jeff Saturday becomes the Colts interim head coach, and a lot of people have had questions about that and the process that it went through and everything. And he also is kind of a confidant for Jim Irsay up there, and that he can give him that perspective from a former player's eyes. Do you have players that you had in the past? I know Michael Irvin, obviously, you have a great communication with him, but that you talk about your team with and you ask questions and kind of pick at their brain a little bit?
All over the place. All over the place. I have guys that aren't former players that I talk to a lot. It would not be doing my job if I weren't constantly in conversation about our team with people who really are focused on our team and understand it. They should have different perspective, each one of them. But you mentioned Jeff Saturday. I had great experience of actually negotiating with him on our long-term players agreement for several years ago. And he was outstanding. And I mean outstanding whether you were talking to him about being a senator or about being a head coach. And I'm a big believer that some of that crosses over. As center and as a very intelligent center, make no mistake about it, he's familiar with every nuance of playing football. That's almost ridiculous to think not. But when it comes to standing up in front of a group of players, or when it comes to standing up in front of just a fan base, he's one of the top people I've met. And I spent a lot of time with him. As a matter of fact, I had the pleasure of riding. We were going in kind of the same direction, and he rode with me for several hours on the plane, just the two of us, and we spent a lot of time talking about a lot of things. I can see why Irsay thinks as much of him as he does.
Since Corey brought up Michael Irvin, I was curious your thoughts about Deion Sanders might be about to take another step up in the coaching world. Have you been surprised at all to see all of his college coaching success? Not in the least.
Not in the least. Deion has such a positive enthusiasm about him, and a real genuine 1 and 1 is 3. It's a positiveness about him, and he has a real understanding of what a player is. What a player's mentality can and should be. And, of course, he's actually been around and gotten the benefit of some of the greatest people in sport. And look what he brings to the table. But Derek, I'll never forget, he hit an inside-the-park home run at Cincinnati and came over and made a key interception against us opening day with Pittsburgh. And I think he did it within a 24-hour period, baseball, football. And we beat Pittsburgh opening day, and we played them later in the Super Bowl and won. And Deion also called probably the most or as meaningful a play as there was while he was playing corner. He was playing a receiver and caught a big pass down the middle in the Super Bowl.
Jerry, speaking about the old team,
Deion Sanders has a little bit of going for him when it comes to being able to be a coach. He can be an outstanding. He is an outstanding. But I'm just going to say he's a great communicator, and he's a real leader of men.
Jerry, speaking about the old teams, how do you compare your Super Bowl teams to the team that we have right now here in Dallas?
Well, I wouldn't dare try to compare, because there's such a difference in the game and such a difference in, frankly, just the game to make that comparison. I would say that talent-wise, on both sides of the ball, and that's saying a lot because of the talent that we had during those Super Bowl years. Now, I don't think we've got Deion Sanders over there, but we've got some very good single and pluses in terms of defensive players. Now, over on the offensive of the ball, of course, Deion was also magical over on the special teams and the offensive side of the ball. But then you can go on down the road. So this team has it to do relative to the identity of being involved in teams that can compete at that level and go to the Super Bowl. Is it possible? Yes. Does this team have the talent to think about playing in the game like the Super Bowl? I think so. You have to do that mainly hindsight, in my view, of evaluating and comparing teams, because a big part of it is how they played in the Super Bowl.
Well, I know you have a head coach right now. If Deion wanted to, would you hire him to be the head coach of the Cowboys at some point?
Well, again, we're speculating, and you know what that would be or what have you. Deion's very capable of being a head coach in the National Football League.
Now, obviously, football teams are always trying to evolve. And
you couldn't be talking to anybody that knows him any better than I do.
Guarantee that.
That is true. That is very true. As the team looks to improve and evolve, I'm curious, do you see overcoming penalties and the accountability for that as the biggest thing that this team still needs to work on? Because there's been a lot of talk of accountability this week.
Well, I don't know that it's the biggest, but can't think of anything that's any bigger that it needs to work on.
Okay. How is Terrence Steele doing, Jerry?
Terrence is having Terrence Steele.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course. Well, he's having a great year, not a good year, a really great year, and he's just. And the other thing is, he's improving every game. Now, if you're asking him about the fact that he's got the bug right now, then, like I said, I don't believe we'll miss anybody because of the bug.
Gotcha.
I was curious. I know you've talked to us so much about, obviously your focus is this football team, but monitoring across the rest of the sports landscape. I was curious if you heard about what LeBron James said about media disparity. And not that long ago, he had said he's not particularly a Cowboys fan anymore. Did you hear what LeBron said? And would you have any interest in meeting with him and chatting with him?
Well, first of all, you have to hear me say how much I think of LeBron. And I couldn't, I don't know of anybody I respect anymore. I don't know of anybody that has taken every opportunity he's had and maximized it. He not only is an absolute great ambassador for sport, he has taken sports, he's taken his venues and used those platforms. I want to be sure that you know where I'm coming from. And it was made buttons pop off my vest, so to speak, when he would talk about how much of a Cowboy fan he was, and he would have made a great tight end. So, and that doesn't change. There's nothing about any of that changes, and I did hear what he had to say.
Did you have any, general thoughts about, I know all the praise. Did you have any general thoughts about what?
I'm just giving them to you.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm just giving them to you there. I just, certainly he has influence and just because of all of the above, his accomplishments, how he's utilized his sport, how he's utilized his platform, how we have done it. He has enhanced basketball. He's made a lot of people a lot of money. I hope I have too.
Well, we appreciate the time as always. Looking forward to Sunday night and stringing another win up on the board.
Great, guys. Well, I'll tell you, it is fun. It is fun to be a part of this thing when you win a football game.
Yeah, it is.
No doubt about that.
Thanks, Jerry.
Bye, Dad.
And Derek, good to be on with you. I'm sorry that I've done all the talking, which our fans probably wish we'd had you jump in here a little more, Derek.
No, I appreciate it. I'm just happy I got to talk to you, and you even gave the love that you did to me. So thank you, Dad.
Well, all right, guys.